I was gonna count down three, two, one, and then end the song, but the song just ended, so whatever. Oh my goodness, folks! I have, I kid you not, had probably the weirdest. What is today? The 16th. I barely. I have been effectively sick off and on for 2.5 or about 2 weeks. Like, I kid you not, once the heat ended and it died down and it started being 70 degrees outside, I got sick as a dog. And it came to a head a couple of days ago where I had a terrible migraine. My heart felt like it was beating out of my chest. My stomach just hurt like a motherfucker. And I was sweating like crazy. So yeah, I had a fever. And sadly the cure was not cowbell. Basically I had to lay in bed. I couldn't keep anything down food wise because I tried to eat a little bit and it just whoa, like half an hour later. Um and man, it was bad. So uh feeling better now though. Like I'm completely recovered. When I woke up this morning, because I woke up at about like 6 o'clock. Um, the only problem was I had lost my voice, and I just gained it back like maybe 2 hours ago. So I'm like, fuck it, let's have a live stream. Haven't done one in a little bit. Figured I'd check in, talk about some stuff, um, respond to something, and then just kind of go from there. But who all is in the chat so far? I see Leo is here, Batzilla, Brain is here, Therion, Gabe is here, Crystal Hydra, RPX as well. If I missed anyone, I do apologize. But I'm feeling much better. The downside is that I have spent probably like the last month and a half stressed out and like really kind of checked out on myself. And then when I looked in the mirror, I had kind of noticed this. Like my turkey neck got bigger. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I stepped on the scale. I won't say how much I weigh. I will say it's embarrassing. It is the heaviest I have ever been in my lifetime. And there's going to be some changes that happen. I am immediately cutting down on carbs. That burger I just had, the bun is the only carbohydrates I'm going to have for the rest of like that's it. If I eat anything more today, it will just be meat, or I will like have a little bit of apple cider or something like that, like a glass of it, or just drink more water. So I just said, all right, I know what I need to do. I just said, I saw I still had some soda in the house, threw it out, poured it down the drain, crumpled up the bottles, threw it away. I saw that. I looked at what my meals were gonna look like for the next. Today's Thursday, right? So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so 4 days. I looked to see what that all is, and I'm like, okay. A lot of what I have in the house is carbs and meat. So we balance it out. We have carbs with one meal, and that's it. Because I also have cereal. So if, like, I need something in the morning, I'll have a bowl or so of cereal, and then that'll be it. No more carbs the rest of the day. Just meat and vegetables. So Ace Frehley just died? You're kidding me. Like right now? Because Tomonobu Itagaki just died this morning. What the fuck? Oh, man. Fuck. Oh, my God. Someone, right fucking now, find Rob Halford, find Bruce Dickinson, make sure they're okay. That's a dark joke, but it's also true. Enough. Like, Jesus fuck, enough. How many more legends have to die this year? Honestly, it's getting like... Yeah, what the... Please stop! The Grim Reaper is like on it. He's like... Is hearing the word multi-kill in the back of his fucking head. Like, what the hell, man? To me, as just a guy who's getting older, it is more of a reminder that the celebrities of my day, like the guys that were huge names in music and stuff, were so freaking cool, and we've just been losing them left and right as the years have been going on, and like all the new people fucking suck. Like, modern celebrity is so fucking terrible. The most notable guy on social media right now is a dumb communist Turk abusing his dog and people trying to defend it. Which, can I rant about that real quick? I went ham on Twitter about it, and I want to say it here. The shock collar by itself is not necessarily the problem. I have seen some people use shock collars to reinforce certain behaviors, but I would not recommend it by any shape or form or fashion. If you want to train your dog, you just need to discipline your dog properly to do things that, and not do things that it should not do. You know? Do not bark at certain points of the day. Don't be aggressive towards people. Don't piss or shit in the house. Yada, yada, yada. Like that sort of thing. The problem where it becomes abuse is when you are using a shock collar to keep your dog restricted to what is effectively a 4x2 square inside your fucking office. That's a problem. It's an animal. They want to get up and move. I don't want my dog walking around the house while I'm streaming. What the fuck's the dog gonna do? Like, if your office is upstairs, just put a baby gate over the stairs, dummy. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'd ask if Hassan is retarded, but I already know the answer. Just, yeah, it's very it's very frustrating to watch, to say the least. It's also very like, so that's been a thing. The other thing that's been kind of frustrating as well has been like seeing people on Twitter who say they're Christians say that people need to be uh giving up like anime and video games or else they're not really Christians. To quote Wu Fei, huh? Are you fucking kidding me? Pardon my French there, but good lord. Like what are we doing here, pal? Like, first and foremost, I'm going to say this like for those who don't know, because some of you here have been here for years. Some of you are relatively new because the channel just really started growing over the last couple, right? The thing about, well, it's not a thing about my collegiate background. My alma mater is a private Christian university. I am the son of a pastor. My major in college was theology. My minor was in philosophy. This is my rodeo in regards to like what my educational background is. That's why whenever you hear me talk about philosophies in like the videos that I do, you'll notice like I'm very apprehensive about using a word outside of where it actually belongs. Like, when I used the word fascist to describe Oz and the Rockefeller Foundation in Gundam Wing, I was specifically talking about like, or I was using their own words and referencing them, contrasting them to what fascists believe. Specifically that a lot of the things that Trace Kushnada says in that show in regards to philosophy and on war and such, and rule and control, are basically from Will to Power by Nietzsche. Will to Power being something that both Hitler and Mussolini pulled from. It's the truth. Like I don't say it without actually having some sort of backing there. But that's why I know that stuff, is because I've always had an interest in both of those subjects. The downside is that I have like $7,000 worth of student loan debt that that cost to learn when I probably could have learned it on my own. But again, being somebody who was training to be a minister, I was a minister for a very short time. Only about 6 months I was a youth minister. Didn't really like it. The one thing that is a commonality between a lot of ministers, they're nerds. A lot of them are nerds, honestly. And the ones that try to tell you they're not, they're BSing you. Like, the one thing that we all did whenever, like, we wanted to blow off steam after there was, like, a big project that everybody had to do or something like that, what we were doing is we were plugging in Xboxes, and then everybody was going into the rooms with the biggest TVs, and we were sitting down and playing Halo against each other. Again, across campus, because we were all on one network, right? So you could just plug into the LAN and just go. You know, for Halo, at least for Halo 1. For Halo 2, you didn't need to do that. But it helped when you were all on the same team to be in the same room. So, The fact of the matter is that the like most Christian, like the idea that a Christian can't be a Christian if they watch anime or if they play video games or something along those lines, it's BS. I don't remember the guy who said it. I think it was James Lindsay. And he's like, oh, I took time and I got a PhD. You got a PhD in poli-sci, dude. That's a waste of money. Absolute fucking waste of money. Yeah, he quoted a scripture from First Corinthians out of context. Because it's talking about spiritual maturity. You know, I put aside childish things. You know, what it means by childish things is things that we would consider immature in regards to behavior. For example, we consider holding a grudge over something stupid and something petty to be childish, right? That's the sort of thing that Paul is talking about when he's addressing the Corinthians in that. Yeah, Matt Walsh said the anime of the devil. Matt Walsh is a fake too. He's absolutely a fake. I'm gonna quote something in its context from the Bible. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live. Moreover, that every man eat and drink and enjoy the good of his labor. This is a gift of God. It's from Ecclesiastes 3:12 and 13. Basically saying that you're allowed to enjoy your life. The proper way of living, which Solomon would have been addressing the Jews at the time. Ecclesiastes is said to be been written by the teacher. It's Solomon. It's King Solomon. Just you read it and it's obvious. What Solomon is basically saying is God does not expect us to work and to live and to do all of these things and take care of our families and things like that and despise our own lives. That's not what God asks of us. And it's the truth. He does not ask that of us. There is no scripture that basically says that you can't enjoy your life. But Ecclesiastes goes on to talk about how in everything there is a season. Season to be born, season to die, season for peace, season for war, so on and so forth. There's a time and a place for everything, right? Things within their own context. You know, there's nothing wrong with playing video games. There is a problem if you play video games and you ignore your children or something. Brain throws in membership 8 months. He says, recreation is the reward for hard work. IMO. These dudes are just rage baiting at this point. Sigma Grindset D's nuts, you bores. And the funny thing about it is that dude I just quoted is just a normal conservative commentator. And it's like, dude, like, what do you do then? What do you do? Sip whiskey, smoke a cigar, and beat your wife? Like, what do you do for... Not that I think he's a wife beater, but it's like, what do you expect people to do? You know? Like, what is life to you? Is it just, I work, and that's it. That's all I do is I work. I come home, I yell at my kids, my wife fixes me supper, I eat, I smoke a cigar, I drink a glass of whiskey, missionary position for 5 minutes, and then I go to bed? Is that it? It's not much of a life. And it drives people, it makes people just absolutely miserable. You know? So, when it comes right down to it, like, you're allowed to have fun. Like in ancient Israel, they had parties. dude, like traditions back then. Jesus went to a wedding party, went to a shindig and got everybody wine from water. You know, like let's not pretend that these things are not allowed for Christians. You know, there's a lot of Christian authors throughout the years that have provided entertainment for people, actors who are Christians and so on and so forth. Like what are we doing here, pal? Like what are you expecting? Why do you want people to be miserable? Show me in the Bible where it tells people they got to be miserable, because that's what you're asking. You know. Therion says, picked up a copy of Everything Went Black. Got to make my way through that. Thank you. Not a lot of people bought that book, so that means a lot to me. But yeah, that kind of frustrated me too, because it's like the problem is not like wait, you have a book? Yeah, I'm an author. I've been a writer for years now, but it's kind of gone under the radar. Like all this art behind me is from books that I've done. Um, but yeah, it is it's one of those things where like I see things like that and I just go, what is your expectation of the future? What is it that you want people to do? Like again, is the only thing that you want, like, is the one thing people are allowed sports? Is that it? Then which sports? Are we gonna go back to the what was the John McCain bullshit, like where UFC is human cockfighting? Is boxing allowed? Is like, or is it only football? Is that what it is? You work 60 hours a week, you eat, you go missionary position for 5 minutes, then you go to bed, and then you yell at your wife on Sundays when she gets her fat ass in front of the TV. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, seriously, this is the life that we're wanting for people to have? Fucking miserable, dude. Absolutely miserable. God forbid you read a comic book. God forbid you play a tabletop game with somebody, with your friends. God forbid you read some fiction. God forbid that you watch something or play something. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like here's the thing. Like, what's the difference between if I play a game of Uno with somebody with physical cards and I play it over the internet? It's a different medium, you know? Now, if you want to start getting into what is in certain games and like the sins that could be associated with what you're taking in, that's a different discussion. But just saying, like, you're not allowed to play video games if you're a conservative or if you're a Christian or whatever the fuck. Well, Christian is more important to me than conservative. That no, it's just stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Ignore those people. They do not know what they're talking about. I had somebody actually ask me that, like what my response is to all this, and I just said, when it comes right down to it, it's important to be steadfast, and it's important to respond when people say goofy shit, and to say no, we're not playing this fucking game, dude. So, Yo-Yo for $4.99 says, you were talking modern celebrities. I thought P. Diddy. So your point is still standing. Oh, goodness. Made the mistake of asking conservative ones for Death Side Hell. Let's just say I got socks. Yeah, I had to explain Death Side Hell to my mom, who is also very conservative and very religious. Um, I had to respond. I had to tell her it's just an upgrade of a giant robot, and she goes, "Well, why do they call it Death Side Hell?" And I, being a total smartass, I look at her and go, "Because Death Side Heck sounded really stupid." She just shoots me this look like she's gonna fucking kill me. I never took those conversations seriously. I hate to admit it. If my mother is watching, sorry, Mom. But, it was so silly. It's just a giant robot. So I didn't get it either. I never got the 1/100 high grade of that one. Holy shit, Brain. He throws on $50. He says, "I'm not pretending that I don't hate these people at this point. They get rich off knowing people and speaking a bunch of 10-cent words. I work my ass off to make things work, and I wager I'm more fulfilled. Have some of my earnings." Thank you, Brain. And that is sort of my thing. It's like, just let people have fun. You know? As long as they're not, being neglectful of their duties, then, their duty to God and such, then they're not hurting anything. Like, I got an older cousin who is turning 50 this year. He plays Halo all the time. And he knows, like, almost every single freaking, like, Dream Theater song on guitar. He takes the time to play the guitar all the time. Not just for playing just worship music, though he does that too. Like, I know how to play a bunch of songs by In Flames on bass. Like, it's one of those things where, like, there's nothing wrong with indulging in these things. It's when you do it. Almost like they've never been young in their life. Yeah, and that's a sad thing to be. Because, like, this is something that I told a girlfriend of mine not too long ago. I told her about, like, part of the reason that I left State Farm. Oh, let me read this from Solo real quick. He says, "How do you respond to people who say avoid even the appearance of evil or avoid temptation in regards to anime and video games?" What tempts people from person to person is gonna be different. If I were to tell you avoid temptation, my thing is be aware. Like, what I'm telling you is to be self-aware about the things that tempt you, about what your big sins are. I will admit, my biggest two that I've always dealt with, I guess three, would be wrath, gluttony, lust. Those are the three that kill me. Obviously gluttony, because I'm fat, right? I was just talking about that earlier. I'm heavier now than I ever have been. I gotta work on that. I've been neglecting something. That's a sin. Wrath is when I get really, really pissed off. Not as much of a problem now as it used to be, but it's still there. But and then same thing with lust. It's like, it's one of those things where I don't want to get into a trap that is set by the adversary to put me into that effective hamster wheel of sin that people get caught up in, right? So in a sense, you being the person that, is making the purchases and things like that, don't do things that are going to cause you to stumble. Just don't do it. But saying that, like, oh, you have to avoid the whole genre just because maybe there's one game that's, like, kind of a gooner game or something. It's preposterous. Or there's one anime that has a lot of titties in it. Like, again, it's preposterous. I'm not going to give up Gundam just because, Ikitosen exists. Like, that, the logic doesn't work there. So that's been very frustrating as well to see. And again, I don't get it. I'll never get it. It's never going to click for me. I think part of it because, like, when I was a kid, I was kind of a Puritan. Like when I was really young, when I was like in my early like before like my preteens. Like one thing that people every time that I go home, uh, and I see people from like who knew me when I was a kid, consistently remind me about the fact that I gave my first sermon when I was 12 years old. Which is, it is true. I actually did. The worst part about it was good. It was actually really good. But one that I gave, I think, 3 in 1 year. One that I regret to this day, was one specifically on sin and about, and I was being completely like Puritan in it in regards to like music and stuff. And a lot of that was just a reflection of how little I knew about the arts and how little I knew about any of that, you know? And to this day, I hate myself for that one. Even though I was a kid, I didn't know any better. But, you know, I still would like to think that I was smart enough when I was that young that I did know. But, regardless, I think back to that and I'm disgusted with myself because when I gave that sermon, I noticed that kids my own age didn't really want to be around me. And it was like that for a long time when I was a kid. And anytime that I got into different music or anything like that, because I became a metalhead when I was a teenager, constantly caught shit for it. Constantly. So yeah, it is a Puritanism does nothing but drive people away from you. If you don't want to imbibe these things in your own life, then that's fine. You don't have to. You can live however you choose, how you choose to live. It's your faith, it's your walk. But you also need to understand that everybody's different. You know, there are some people that walking into a bar could lead to the worst temptation of their life. And there are people that, like me, that could walk into a bar and it's just a bar. You know, hey, can I get a thing of wings at a Long Island? I eat my wings, I drink my drink, I go home. You know, it's just one of those things where I feel like there's just a lot of young Christians that say stuff like this that don't understand what they're saying and don't actually understand the depth of what they're talking about. It's very frustrating to see. All right, enough about the religious talk. Let's talk about TV. So I'm going to cover up Grimaldus down here with the title card for today. Not what I wanted to hit. There we go. So, I watched some recent TV while I was not feeling that great. I hate to say it. They have now gotten to a point where, like, instead of cable bundling, we're now doing streamer service bundling. So they have bundled Hulu, HBO Max, and Disney Plus into a $30 bundle. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I got $30. So, I figured I'd watch a couple recent shows. What would you guys rather we start with? Peacemaker or Alien Earth? What do you guys think? Also, yes, I have seen the first season of Reacher. It's really good. I have not watched the other seasons. Some people are leaning Peacemaker. We'll give it a little bit to see what people think. Most people are saying Peacemaker. So we'll go with Peacemaker. Peacemaker, um, honestly, not as bad as everybody's saying it is. Like, well, the Culture Warriors are saying that it is. But then again, the Culture Warriors seem to have a vested interest in James Gunn failing because they have decided that right now they don't like James Gunn. Give it a couple of years, they'll love James Gunn. You know, it tends to go back and forth. Um, the thing, like, Peacemaker season 1 was in some ways kind of a like part of. I liked it for the same reason that I really liked James's Suicide Squad. It was a breath of fresh air because the thing about his take on Suicide Squad is it really felt like it was taking the piss out of the first Suicide Squad movie, because the first Suicide Squad movie fucking sucks. It felt like it was kind of taking the piss out of that in some ways, in sort of its approach, to kind of just making the villains a bunch of bumbling idiots, which they were, because it's all D-listers, so nobody fucking cares. Nobody cares if Bloodsport comes across as silly. Nobody cares if Peacemaker comes across as silly, because nobody knows who the fuck they are, except super nerds. Everybody knew who Harley Quinn was. She was probably who's, like, it didn't do that well in theaters, but for anybody that did watch it, they were probably watching it for Margot Robbie as Harley, because she's really good as Harley Quinn. But like it kind of like they killed off everybody but Harley and, well, at the beginning of the movie, they killed off everybody but Harley and Rick Flag Jr. And Flag actually dies in the movie. And it's not a spoiler, it's been out forever. But it really was kind of taking the piss out of the Snyderverse in a way, at least the way I saw it. And I appreciated that because I really didn't like the Snyderverse. You know, I supported the idea of the Snyder Cut coming out because there was a fan demand behind it, and there seemed to be a vested interest in it not coming out for some reason. And I'm like, why not? Just throw it out there. We'll see what happens. And then it was thrown out there, just wasn't that good. Deadshot wasn't in the second movie yet, though. True, Deadshot wasn't in it, and Katana wasn't in it either. So they could show up again in the future. Especially, like, the main reason that they didn't have Deadshot in it is because there's no fucking way that Will Smith is gonna agree to showing up for a movie for real quick. Not to mention he left the Suicide Squad at the ending of the first movie anyway. But yeah, keep him alive just in case he wants to come back as Deadshot again, because that could be box office. Like, if James Gunn apparently wants to do his own Batman movie, which I am against. I don't like that idea. I really think him and Matt Reeves need to get on the same page and just use that version of Batman. Let's not do this fucking bullshit again. Because I really don't want fucking like the Batfleck mistake to repeat itself. Oh, that's right, Killer Croc didn't show up either. But at Regimania, thank you for renewing your membership again. 2 months now. Very much appreciated. Gives me the Vanilla Gorilla seal of approval, which you can now buy that merch. I think there's a link in the description to get your hands on that. Let me check just to be sure. If not, it's going to be. There we go. I just tagged the shirts, so they should be at the bottom now. If not, refresh the page. But the Vanilla Gorilla Seal of Approval shirt is now live and able to be bought, alongside the Bernard's Burgers shirt, which I am so proud of. Damos Z, I don't know if he's in the chat. He did the burger for me, and I came up with the slogan and everything. And excuse me. There is a if you buy both shirts on the Fourth Wall shop that I have, and you use the code BigMicahMerch at checkout, you get free shipping. So every time, my idea that I want to do is, like, I want to try to do this thing where, like, every season, we do a new shirt, and then, like, we do some sort of a deal, like, for people who have not gotten them. Because the one thing that I want to do is I want to take channel jokes, turn them into shirts, but also have them be the sort of thing that you can wear in public, and people will get, like, if they're into what you're talking about, it'll be the reference. They'll understand the reference. If not, it'll still be a fun looking t-shirt. One that we have planned out, I have the concept for the flamethrower it is a flamethrower. I think we're gonna put it in a glass case, or I'm gonna have another artist put it because like I said, it's already got the concept. I'm gonna have a different artist come in and do, like, the full concept, but the basic thing is like, it's gonna, like, have a tag on it that says, "For peacekeeping purposes only." Yeah, and peacekeeping is in quotation marks. Stuff like that. But anyway, back to James Gunn and the whole thing. So Peacemaker is, of course, a character in James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie. It's a good movie. And he didn't die. He lived through his injuries. James Gunn said because they do a podcast after every episode of Peacemaker, he said, like, Peacemaker is the one character that he has broken his rule of, I've killed this character, I'm not bringing them back. He brought him back because his full intention in the original Suicide Squad movie was for Peacemaker to die, and for that just to be the end of it. But he liked working with John Cena so much, he's like, I gotta keep this character around. Scylla throws in $10, says there's a rumor based on a leaked image that Lucasfilm is gonna release remasters of all 3 unaltered original trilogy movies in 2027 for the 50th anniversary. If they come out on Blu-ray or whatever disc, I will probably pick them up, because I have the DVDs of the special edition. I do not have the originals at all at home. Oddly enough, in a storage area of my mother's garage, my VHS tapes of the special editions sit there, and I don't know if they still work, but I just thought that was interesting that they're still there in their collector's edition case that I bought them in all those years ago. Okay, actually, my dad bought for me, but yeah. But anyway, back to Peacemaker. So Peacemaker Season 1 was fun. Season 2 was really interesting. I will say, for me, the thing about it is this. It is the most James Gunn thing to ever exist. Like, and it's such a weird juxtaposition, because I watched James Gunn's Superman before I watched Peacemaker Season 2. I really liked Superman. Probably going to surprise some people. I really liked it, because James understood Superman as a person. And I don't know the whole thing about his parents being Viltrumites, effectively. I think, honestly, it's going to be a thing in the future where whenever they do introduce Batman, he's going to come in and say, yeah, I had my own language experts, that aren't on your payroll, Lex, come in and analyze this. This is what they actually say, and the message is really heartwarming. I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. But he understands that Forgot that it's allegedly a theatrical release. Oh, I would go absolutely in the theaters and watch them. I would throw down money for that. I'd watch all three back to back. I don't give a shit. I love the original movies. But anyway, James Gunn seems to understand that Superman is Clark Kent. He's a guy from Kansas. That's how he behaves. He is a down-home, wholesome boy raised in the church by farmer parents. He is a good old boy in the most positive connotation of that phrase. He is a good person. There were some elements of that Snyder did understand, but he felt the need to be edgy by the end of the movie, and that fucked the whole thing up. This does not have that. Yeah, he wasn't Injustice Superman. Like, not at all. He felt like good old-fashioned Clark Kent. If you have seen the Richard Donner movies, the first two Superman films, you'll recognize that, like, there's a lot of similar beats in this that he's following. There are a couple of darker moments in it. The scene where Lex executes a guy, spoilers, while Metamorpho, who is held against his will, has effectively turned his hands into kryptonite. Well, not effectively, he does. And just executes this Middle Eastern dude who gave Superman shawarma one time. Or wait, no, it wasn't shawarma. What was it? Falafel. One time. Just being a nice guy, just shoots him. You know? And, like, that was a dark moment. But it worked. You know, it worked really well. I have to say, I've always wanted Nathan Fillion to play Hal Jordan. I always thought he was a dead ringer for Hal. He's a good Guy Gardner, too. He really gets the arrogance and the sort of stuck, like, nose in the air, sort of like hyper macho bullshit that Guy Gardner does. I really liked it. I hated the bowl cut. I think that James Gunn did that just to fuck with Nathan Fillion. They will probably change it in the future, because Guy Gardner hasn't had the bowl cut since, like, the 1980s. But yeah, I really liked him as Guy Gardner. I'm like, okay. All right. So, I didn't really... the guy who played Mr. Terrific is good, too. I liked him. Didn't really have a whole lot of opinion on Hawk Girl, because she was just kind of there. And it's not the Shira Hall Hawk Girl, so I couldn't really give a fuck. You know? Yeah, Nathan Fillion's been working with Gunn since Slither. Exactly. So, but yeah, overall, his Superman was really good. I was impressed. I was like, wow, this is the best Superman film we've gotten since Superman 2, all those years ago. And Crypto acted like a dog, you know? And my only worry is that Supergirl is going to be fucking trash, but it's Supergirl, I don't care. But on to Peacemaker, who made a cameo appearance in this on a talk show. Season 2, like I said, the most James Gunn thing ever. It is unapologetically James Gunn. And he uses the fact that it's on HBO Max to, like, full fucking, you know... Excuse me. Full fucking full fucking bore. There's an orgy in the first episode. Um, the setup of it is basically that Peacemaker is in a place where he's kind of low because he just doesn't feel wanted by anybody. The blonde girl whose name escapes me at the moment, they had a moment when they were out together, just having a dinner together, and then they went on like a party boat afterwards to see a live concert of like a hair metal band, and they had a kiss, and he wanted to know if it was something to her. She's basically saying no. It's making him really depressed because like he lost his father, he killed his own brother, he fucked up doing Waller's instructions and killed somebody that he really respected. You know, he's kind of hating life, and he's just diving into old vices. And he goes into this closet that leads us effectively to a pocket dimension, finds a door leading to an alternate dimension where his family is still alive, his brother and his father. Brainbox throws in $10 says, quick aside, I'm experiencing what Mandalore experienced with his marathon reviews, except with the SH2 remake. It's far more of a rabbit hole than I realized. I may need help. Don't spoil it for me. I have not done a second playthrough of that game yet. I plan on doing it this year. I will probably do it live on the channel. Luke in the chat had a question, super random question. In my country, we don't build with drywall, so I always wondered, what do you use to put those frames behind you up on the wall? Normal nails or something else? These are nailed up. I have a stud finder. So they're like on the wood. So yeah, that's basically how we do it here. But basically what happens is John Cena, in a fight, again, instead of killing somebody that he respected, he kills himself, the alternate universe version of himself, who admittedly did try to kill him, so it wasn't self-defense, but still kills him. Then he and Vigilante unceremoniously cut the body apart and throw it in a fucking burninator to get rid of the evidence. But what Peacemaker starts doing is effectively going to this other universe and playing himself with a different family. And because he gets to be a superhero because his family in that universe are big name superheroes. The problem is that the alternate universe is Earth X. And for those who don't know DC, Earth X is the universe where World War II was won by the Nazis. So basically, America, it's kind of like Peacemaker is season 2 is kind of like the bits in Earth X when they finally reveal what it is, honestly kind of feel like this is what the people who worked on Wolfenstein: The New Colossus wanted to do. So yeah. So it takes a dark turn. But at the same time, it's one of those things where there's a conflict in Peacemaker because that universe's version of Vigilante busts through the window while his alternate universe father is giving a speech. His alternate universe father is known as the Blue Dragon. He's a completely different person. He's actually a really nice guy. Does not agree with Nazism or anything like that. Doesn't care about anything like that. He's a superhero. He saves people. That's his job. He can't take on the whole regime and change the world. But he could try to do a little bit of good. And that's his mentality. And um Vigilante busts through the window and fucking kills him. To everybody's horror, they keep trying to you kind of feel like they're trying to play it off. And then they have a scene where Peacemaker's alternate universe brother starts attacking him, and then everybody else attacks Peacemaker's alternate universe brother. They stab him and almost kill him, and that's when you kind of realize that John Cena actually can act, because he, like, this is the funny thing about this series is that this shows that John Cena can do more than be goofy. And that was what I really kind of took away from it. It's really a vehicle to show that if John Cena wants to do more dramatic stuff in the future, he's fully capable of doing it. I don't really know if he can do it with this character, but in other films it could happen, you know. And I would be really interested to see it happen, because the one thing that I've always taken away from John Cena in interviews and stuff, and yeah, I know the shit about China and all that. It's like that was not that I did not like that either. But that aside, I'm interested to see what he does with his career, because obviously he's wrapping up wrestling this year, which is kind of sad. He's the first wrestler I can think of where I have watched him wrestle from debut to the end of it. And it's just to see what he accomplished as a professional wrestler is incredible. And it might end up being that he may become, like, if he has the potential to be the best of the 3 pro wrestlers that are in acting right now. He might end up being the best, which is saying something, because right now Dave Bautista is. Because Dave Bautista's got a lot of depth to him too. Though I hear that Rock did awesome in the Smashing Machine. I need to see that. But that was the big takeaway from the show. Overall, it's the thing about the show. All I can say about it is, if you like James Gunn, you will probably like it. If you don't like James Gunn, this is not going to convert you. So don't even try. This is apparently the last season of Peacemaker. It will apparently have effects on future things that James is doing. But the ending of it was very abrupt, which was the one thing I didn't like. I won't spoil what the ending is, just in case people in here do want to watch it. But the ending was very abrupt. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. But I do hope to, you know, now I'm at a point though where if I see John Cena's going to be in a movie, I'm kind of interested. I'm kind of down. I'm kind of down to see what he can do, you know? Especially now that he got that bald spot taken care of. So yeah. Heard Peacemaker is going to have cameos and stuff next year. That's what I've heard too. Because what they set up at the end of it had some repercussions for the whole DCU. The one thing that I think is kind of like my biggest problem with it is there were a couple characters that kind of like fell flat in it. Again, if you're not into that kind of zany, almost Looney Tunes-esque. Well, no, I can't compare it to Looney Tunes. What would I compare it to? You guys know that era of Saturday Night Live after, like the Adam Sandlers and the Chris Farleys and stuff like that, where it was a bunch of new dudes. It was like, it was Will Ferrell's years. Though that kind of Saturday Night Live humor, that era of SNL, that's kind of James Gunn's sense of humor in a lot of ways. So if that doesn't necessarily vibe with you, some of the characters in this are not gonna hit. The black operative from the spy group, I forget the character's name, but they tried to do this thing where he's like got bird blindness. He can't tell the difference between birds. I didn't think it was that funny. It didn't land for me. That one just kind of, it kind of fell flat. The bit just didn't really do that great. They did this whole thing with like Eagly being like the Great Eagle, and they had Michael Rooker play a guy who was like cosplaying as a Indian guy, Feather Not Dot, doing like fucking vision quests on how to kill Eagly, and that didn't really land either. So yeah. The rest of it was fun. So I thought it was pretty good. You know, if I was put it like on like A to F, I'd give it a C. Like, well, I would say a C plus. It's better than season 1 in my opinion. Season 1 was just kind of was fun. It was kind of very popcorny. But that was about it. Season 2 had a little bit more depth to it. Had a little bit more depth of flavor. But I wouldn't call it great. It didn't blow my fucking mind. I'm curious about how Lanterns is gonna go, because the cast is good. The writers are terrible. The writers for the Lanterns show are Damon Lindelof and Tom King. Notice how I put up an L. Boss throws in a $1.99, says, "How dare you have fun, sir?" I know, right? I'm terrible like that. But yeah. The Lanterns is like, but on this, like, to the same credit, James Gunn said they turned in a really good script. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. My problem with Damon Lindelof is that he and J.J. Abrams are old buddies, and they both subscribe to the mystery box way of writing. I don't need the mystery box way of writing because we don't know if you're getting a second season, buddy. Wrap it up. Because I don't think that many of you watched HBO Watchmen. I didn't even get all the way through it. I remember the dude who covers himself in lube being in it. Like, there's a scene devoted to that, and then nothing ever came of it because it never got renewed for another season because it sucked. It's like, do not do mystery box stuff. It's fucking stupid. Alien Earth. That was a weird one. Was Watchmen good? The most recent TV show? No, it's fucking terrible. It's really bad. It is basically political waffle. If you want to get it's this question. Do you want to get lectured on politics by a guy who looks like this? He looks like if you put glasses on a shaved scrotum. Who wants to listen to this guy tell you about politics? Like, seriously. Like, I'm dead serious. For some reason, God got a sense of humor when it came to the creation of Damon Lindelof and just said to himself, you know what? I'm going to invent a human being that literally looks like one half of a scrotum, and we're just going to stick it on a neck. And that's Damon Lindelof. That is what he looks like. He is a walking scrotum. And that's how he acts too. Like, if you do you really want this guy giving you political lectures? I don't think so. I do not think so. He's one of those people when you look at him, you're like, I could tell all of your opinions just by looking at you. What political messages were in Alien Earth? None that I really found. Um, the Damon Lindelof thing isn't related to Alien Earth. It's related to the Watchmen HBO series and just Damon Lindelof being just an insufferable human being. But Alien Earth was really weird. Really, really weird. Um how do I put this? So the whole show has a Peter Pan allegory running through it. The basic premise is that the aliens in this, the xenomorphs, are playing second fiddle for the vast majority of the show. On a show called Alien Earth. Emphasis on alien. Like, what do you guys expect whenever you hear that you're getting an alien movie or a television show or a video game? What do you guys expect to see? I'm genuinely curious, and I'll read out what you type. Don't worry, I'm just looking for an image. Ooh, that's really good art. We'll use that. Yeah, running for the alien. Aliens. Alien or predator. Xenomorphs. Xenomorphs attacking people. I expect aliens fucking stuff up. Aliens invading Earth. Exactly. Like, you expect these guys. This is what you're expecting. And this is really good art. Um this is what you want. This is what you came for. This is what brought you to the dance. Is the xenomorphs. Because xenomorphs are fucking cool. They're one of the dopest alien designs ever. There's a reason that Games Workshop effectively took them and then put them on bath salts to make the fucking Tyranids. And then Blizzard came in and put them on weed and LSD and then turn them into the Zerg. You know, like they are one of the coolest alien designs of all kind, or of all time. Like, they are just amazing as adversaries. Like they say, it's the perfect organism. You dare not kill it. But yes, I can quote from that movie all day if you're wondering. But Marichek, John J. He died while they took it off. Sorry, I can't help myself. I like to keep this for close encounters. Fuck, I'm doomed. I just smacked myself in the head with a water bottle. Ah! Oh my god. Like, I'm probably gonna take a nap after this because I'm old. Guys, I turned 40 in a couple of months. What the fuck am I gonna do? Oh. But anyway, in this, what they try to do, because Damon X in the chat brings up a good point. Is that at this point xenomorphs aren't as scary as they used to be, especially to people who are nerds. We've seen these things killed by everything. Predator is kind of the same way, you know. We saw a predator get killed by a tiny Native American girl. So like, killing a predator doesn't mean as much as it used to, which is really unfortunate because I fucking love Predator. But 40 ain't so bad. It's not. I'm embracing getting older. It's not a big deal. It's just, I'll put it this way. I find it really interesting. I'm 40 years old, and I finally found a job that I really love, and I love doing every day. And I actually feel really bad when I get nothing done in a day. Like, legit. Like, while I was sick, I was literally so pissed off that I could not get up and get to work. I was legitimately angry that I could not get any work done. When I got a little bit of work done, I felt so much better, and then I would wake up and I'd be sick again. Find a good testosterone booster, it helps. I might at some point. Big thing that I'm focused on is just losing this weight. But regardless, so Alien Earth tries to, reestablish that the xenomorph is fucking terrifying. And at first it does a decent job, because this is, I shit you not, the most violent a xenomorph has ever been in media. Easily the most violent. This thing is pissed off. Oh, God. It destroys people. Like, what it will do, it will go into a room and kill everybody. But when you walk in there, it looks like the scrap floor of a fucking slaughterhouse. There are just carcasses of human beings everywhere. There was one scene of people that were having like a Renaissance-themed party with like the powdered wigs and all that. Well, more like 1700s, but you get my meaning. And all of that, and having a hoity-toity, sort of, I have a goblet here, so pinkies up party. And then as Xenomorph gets into the room, you hear screams and shit. Somebody looks into the room afterwards. It's just Jibs. You would think that Doom guy was in there with a shotgun and in a very, very bad mood. It's like, holy fuck. Like, there's in that very same party, like, one dude is, like, crawling away. He got no legs. It's like that one scene in Major Pain. Pain! I can't feel my legs! I said, Jerry, they ain't there! Sorry, I don't think that was a direct quote. I need to watch that movie again. It's one of my favorite comedies. But yeah, this xenomorph is just in a bad fucking mood. The main plot of the story, though, has to do with basically what happened is a new company that's name escapes me at the moment because I'm tired. They have created effectively human engrams. Yeah, Bubba, you ain't got no legs. Thank you, Rain. But anyway, they created human engrams basically with synthetics, but they put the children, the minds of children into these androids. And they use Peter Pan as an allegory, and it's like your island of misfit toys and all this shit. And what ends up happening is the brother of one of like the main character, who is a girl who had really bad cancer, wasn't going to survive, got put into an android. Her brother is a military guy, and he's a medic specifically. So he and a group of dudes are being sent after a Weyland-Yutani ship that just crashed into the Earth that had a xenomorph on it, and then on top of that also had other alien species. So this other company comes in, captures everything. The brother does get saved, which was cool. They killed off the first xenomorph really early, like second or third episode. And that's where the problems lie. Like, the first few episodes of this show are pretty good. The very first episode is the best one. So it's got a good handshake, right? It's got nothing after that, man. It's like, I don't remember the name of the I don't remember the name of this restaurant. There was this fast food Italian place. The name started with an F. That we went to after church with me and my mom and my sisters. We went on occasion because it was cheap pasta, right? And they had awesome breadsticks. But the pasta was the blandest shit you've ever eaten in your life. And I just remember, like, this is what that was. The first course is the breadsticks. And the breadsticks are fucking awesome. And everything else is trash. And, the problem that they run into in this show as it goes on is that though it's really interesting to have these other life forms and these other aliens to kind of try to figure out what they're doing, it all ends up being mystery box stuff anyway, so none of it fucking mattered. And then they try to make these kids compelling, and the problem is that they're all 12-year-olds. Why the fuck are you trying to make me give a shit about a bunch of 12-year-olds in adult bodies? It's like being on Twitter or watching a Jacob Doolittle video. You know? Like, what the actual fuck are we doing here? So at that point, the show kind of became a slog. And it was really unfortunate, because I thought it was an interesting idea, but the xenomorph takes such a massive backseat that it just kind of made me realize that this was not the story that needed to be told. I'm of the opinion that honestly they needed to have a full-on invasion story like the original Alien Earth comic did. But they just didn't, and it was not compelling. It wasn't really interesting. So Alien Earth, kind of a wet fart of a series. It's kind of unfortunate because Timothy Oliphant's in it, and he's awesome. He's a great actor, but fuck me, it just was. It wasn't Alien Earth. It was cyborg bullshit with xenomorphs showing up on occasion. You know? So that was disappointing. So of the two, like, if you want to watch either, watch Peacemaker. But even then, it might not be your style. One last thing I want to talk about before we close the show today is, let me find a better image for this. Not that Grimaldus down here is a bad image, it's a really good one. Where Where is... There it is. I was looking for my wallpapers. Let's see. White scars, salamanders. Let's fist it up. Shall we? I imagine there's got to be a couple Imperial Fist fans in here. Got some Blade Guard veterans. One of them has a relic shield. Got some intercessors. There's a ballistus dreadnought down there. So, xenomorphs are basically rabid monkeys high on angel dust. No, they're just really pissed off ants with acid blood. But we'll have the Imperial Fists here for a minute. I just appreciate the ballistus dreadnought getting some love. But Grimaldus and brother Sergeant Ekene Dubaku, later chapter master. Yep, sadly, Dubaku would meet his end during the book Spears of the Emperor. Before you go, could you explain what the mystery box is? Let me see if I can find a good summary of it. So, let me put it this way. Mystery box. Imagine putting together a show. A full show in your head. And setting up not just one season, but 5 seasons in the first season without a guarantee that there's going to be seasons 2 through 5. That's what Mystery Box is. You don't know what's in it. You don't know why this just happened. But it'll get explained later. And it's a bad idea unless you have a guarantee that these other seasons are going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So the reason I'm bringing up the Imperial Fists here, aside from the fact that they just look cool, is I wanted to respond to a statement in regards to a video that I did on Gundam. Opinions on G Gundam? Amazing. I'll do a full video on it at some point, but that's all I'm going to say for now. So in the video I did where I talked about Gundam having an identity crisis, I'm just going to just double down right now on everything I said. And I'm going to tell you why. Because some people said, I've got a real case of grass is greener on the other side. I have sampled Warhammer, I've sampled what Gundam is doing at the same time. I'm sorry, I understand that some of you out there are frustrated with good old James Workshop right now. The stories that are being told by this universe up above me are better than what's going on in Gundam. Objectively speaking, they are better. The video games are better. The animation, like their series, have been better. Like I actually put them head to head. You know, I said if we compare Requiem for Vengeance to Angels of Death, which I think came out around the same time, Angels of Death was better, and it had less of a budget. Like the dialogue was so much better written. the characters were that much more memorable. The story was just very compelling, and it was just basically a story of get the fuck away from these gene stealers, but it was still compelling. Episode to episode, I was Fazoli's, that was the place. Thank you, Sulla. Every episode I was hooked. I was in it. I wanted to find out what was going on. You know? I was consistently really intrigued by like the fate of these blood angels. I wanted to see what was going to happen to them. I actually kind of liked Mephiston's speech about the Black Rage. Is like, dude, this is inevitable. It will come for you eventually, and you need to embrace the fact that it's going to come, and you need to face your problem. It was kind of an edgy way of saying it, but he said it. And yeah, Elian says Space Marine 2 also has a demo now and is on sale. And I recommend it. It's an amazing video game. I have logged in... Brain is going to be the only person not surprised by this number. 760.5 hours. It is a blast to play. But objectively speaking, that it was so much better than Requiem for Vengeance. Kill Lupercal, the three episode miniseries that they just put out, was a better mecha story than the entirety of G-Quux. Like, and again, like, I'm a critic. Like, it's my job to review these things. Like, I love Gundam, but 40K right now, in regards to the quality of the media, is blowing Gundam out of the water. A lot of it being because 40K knows what it is. And they know what they sell. You know, It's like Hank Hill. Propane and propane accessories. You know, we with 40K they sell Grimdark and Grimdark accessories. That is what they do. And they stick to it. You're not going to see a 40K book about a war suddenly turn it like this. Like, what do you think would happen if a 40K book in the latter half of it focused more on two lesbians at the beginning of the book and nothing else that was going on? People would be pissed for good reason, and they would say this isn't Warhammer, and they would be right. And Games Workshop would take shit for it. And I'm going to be honest with you, Games Workshop is fumbled. They have absolutely fumbled. I'm not going to bullshit you about it. I think the Fem Stoties thing was stupid. You want to know how many Fem Stoties there are in canon? There's 2. Just 2. Some people will try to say they got retconned. They did not get retconned. The fact of the matter is that and Fizz already fell into it. They didn't get retconned, buddy. Sorry. There's only 2. One of them just kills a few Tyranids and acts like a bitch. Completely unlikable character, terribly written in the tithes, just bleh. The second one was a little bit more interesting, but she only had a little bit of lore about her. And Surveillance Wizard, they already said there's going to be no female Space Marines. Don't bring that bullshit into my chat room, please. Don't bring your fucking Culture Warrior shit in here, or your Doomer shit. I've got no time for it. But the second one that got mentioned just got mentioned in regards to a lore tidbit. So basically, oddly enough, it was created by Alfarius of all people. Is that every year the Custodes test new possible ways to get into the Imperial Palace and kill the Emperor, so that they're prepared for anything. The other female custodian that we know about, again, of the two that exist, she thought of the idea of testing ways to prevent someone from putting a teleport Homer onto a nuke and teleporting that into the Emperor's palace. I'm like, that's a good thing to prevent. Yes. Blood Games. Thank you, Damon. That's it. That's all we got for the two of them. I don't think we even know what the second one looks like. Honestly, we just have I don't even remember her name. I just thought that was a cool idea. I'm like, that's actually kind of clever, you know. Yeah, we already have female Space Marines. They're called Sisters of Battle, and they're awesome. Exactly. And by the way, Games Workshop has said that. Games Workshop has flat out said there's going to be no female Space Marines. I don't know, like, that is a Twitter thing. That is totally a Twitter thing. Twitter is not real life. So don't bring that fucking Doomer bullshit in here. Was told there are 3 female custodians, but the third is dead. Might be why I've never heard of the third one. Probably didn't do a whole lot. But the fact of the matter is that the palace is shielded to prevent teleportation incursions, so it's a BS plot. Why is it bullshit? There's a reason as to why. Now we know why it's shielded against teleportation. What honestly, guys, what do you think lore is? What do you think all these little tidbits of lore and stuff like that I do videos on consistently really are? Do you know what they are? I'm going to be blunt. What they are is somebody saying, hey, we've never explained this. Let's explain this. And then they explain it. And then somebody makes a YouTube video about it and makes money. That's all it is. So if that's BS, then all lore is BS. All fictional lore is BS. And I should just stop doing videos and go be a fucking coal miner. Again, stop with the fucking doomerisms. It's so fucking annoying. It served the purpose of explaining one particular little thing. How dare they? You know? From what Pontius, an Italian Warhammer... Oh, well, if he said it, I'm not really inclined to necessarily believe it. That guy is really autistic. Really autistic. I saw a little bit of his video complaining about lore tubers. This kind of brings me to my own rant. This isn't a personal thing against him. This is something that I have noticed with people that are on the spectrum and have a temper. Which is what I think he probably is. If he's not, then he's not. But I have a feeling he probably is. Granted, from what I understand, there's a lot of people that do lore videos that are on the spectrum. But his video about other lore tubers was the least helpful thing to exist on YouTube in a long time. Because it was fucking pointless to say what he's to say a lot of the stuff that he was saying, and doing all these fucking call outs, some of which he didn't even have any like factual backing for. Like, a lot of the stuff he said about Major Kill was provably untrue. Like, and some criticisms are valid, obviously. Like, the one thing he brought up that I agreed with, generally speaking, about most Warhammer lore tubers: too much focus on memes, not enough on getting your facts straight. That I completely understand. That's a fair criticism, because at the end of the day, you need to... There's a balance that's needed. If you want to have a job doing this, if you want to make money doing this, you have to be entertaining. You have to be able to entertain an audience. You have to be able to get them happy. You have to be able to get them to laugh and to engage with what you're doing. That's basically the long and short of it. And yeah, he was just taking shots at everybody for no fucking reason. Like, they didn't do anything to you, dude. And that's what makes me think he's on the spectrum. A lot of people that I know that are on the spectrum, they take everything personally. Like, everything. When it's not personal, dude. You're passionate about Warhammer, I get it. So am I. So are a lot of people. But, like, if you just want to have criticisms, like, you do it in a manner that is going to be constructive, because, to be honest, these guys are all doing something right and you're not. Because from what I noticed, a lot of his videos prior to that one weren't getting the same kind of traffic that other Warhammer lore tubers were getting. And this might not be the reason, but I'll tell you how it looks. It looks like jealousy. And it's really easy to dismiss you if that's what you're doing. That's generally speaking why, unless a YouTuber does something morally wrong, you need to give them the benefit of the doubt if you're in the same community that they are. For example, like, there's not a lot of Gundam lore tubers. There's Kakarot, who's at the top of the heap. Then there's me. Then there's everybody else. From what I understand, everybody else is a smaller channel than I do. If I came out, or if somebody came out and did a video that had the same attitude about me and Kakarot, and was, of course, was critical of us, but you said some shit that was provably untrue, and on top of that, like, your criticisms of me would be things that I would take into account if you were more polite about it. Like, why would I want to listen to you? You're just a miserable asshole at that point. You're just, it comes across like you're barking at me like a Chihuahua barking at a Great Dane. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, curb your autism. Basically. Like, it does not help anybody to act like that. It doesn't. You're not making Warhammer better. What do you think that they're going to do at this point? Like all those guys like Bones and Pancreas and others such. Do you think they're going to change now? No, they're not going to fucking listen to you. Because you're just a really autistic Italian guy with a chibi Dorn avatar that, I mean, granted, the irony of a guy who's really autistic having a Dorn avatar is kind of hilarious. I'll give him that. But it is the least helpful thing to do for the entire community. It's the least helpful thing to do for just discussion about Warhammer in general. because I also have criticized Bricky and the Adeptus Ridiculous guys. I did it on a video, and I was, I made fun of something that they said, and I made fun of the reason as to why I think they said it. I didn't insult them as people. I didn't lie about them or anything like that. I didn't say provable lies. Like, one of the things that he said was like Major Kill owed his YouTube career to Arch. Look, be an Arch Warhammer fan if you want. I don't particularly care. I'm not a fan. What I will say is this. I can't think of... There are guys that he highlighted in LoreTube, as they call it these days, that later on would go on to be successful. But there's a 2-year delay in when LoreTube got big. And part of the reason as to why I think it happened is because Arch had the market cornered at first. And he was pretty good at it. And then he shat the bed with what he was doing. Just started spurging. And people wanted just tell me have fun, tell me fun lore stories about the grim dark stuff. Other people were happy to provide, and then LoreTube got big. So Arch definitely paved the way. I think that goes without saying, but like acting as if everybody owes them somebody owes them their career when they don't is, again, that's silly. It's like when people have tried to say that like I owe my YouTube career to Ethan Van Sciver. Nothing against Ethan. Hi Ethan if you're watching. But my YouTube career has been something that I've done independent of my comic book work. Whenever I'm on Ethan's shows or anything like that, that's what I'm doing is I'm talking comic books, and my comic book career has taken a back seat big time over these last few years. So I've had to, build my YouTube channel with the hope that if I pick it back up in the future, where, focusing on my writing, then I'll be able to, I'll have a built-in audience now. So it's just one of those things that needs to be considered, is that like you can't just make claims like that and expect people not to call you a fucking asshole, and you have effectively changed nothing. Fun fact, Pontius appeared on Arch's second channel effectively to suck his dick. I didn't watch, but man, the move was more transparent than cling wrap. Gotcha. That explains a lot. So he's a fanboy. Yeah, it's all social climbing with people like Pontius. This wasn't made with any real concern, and that's someone on the spectrum. I prefer the term retarded plus, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's so fucking performative, and you just come across like a tard. Like, do you think Bricky is gonna watch your video and go, this guy who wants to cook at a pizza seems to be very cross at me. I'm gonna watch something else. I'm sure Bricky can hear you over all the women that want his attention all the fucking time. Jesus fucking Christ. Just stop being a spurg. Stop sucking dick for fucking Arch and trying to pretend. He's not your friend. You don't know him. You've never met him in real life. I have more of a claim to knowing my heroes than you do. Like, come on, dude. It's ridiculous to me. And it helps nothing. It helps nothing. Like, the community did not get better after that. He just needs to stop being so fucking autistic. And I have a feeling of what is probably going to be next is the rest of his content is going to be fucking culture war bullshit instead of actually discussion on what's there. and talking about it, and you know, have the discussion be healthy. You know, he's it's just it's so fucking stupid. Yeah, you can attest I'm no fan of Major Kill, but there's no reason to lie about him. Exactly. And I don't mind Major Kill. I think that some of his videos are pretty good. I think some of them weren't that great. Welcome to being a YouTuber. You know, it's going to happen. The fact is, it's just like, man, it's so unfortunate, because I really feel like had he been less autistic about it and he had been more sensible, he really could have made some really good points about one of the issues in LoreTube as a whole, is that there's too much focus on memes, not enough focus on what's actually there. And it's a fair criticism. It's a criticism that a lot of people need to take, you know, because the problem with too much focus on memes and too much shit posting means that you set up an expectation that's not really there. Like, the salamanders are all huggy boys. No. If you are a human being, they will endeavor to save you. If you're an Eldar, you're fucked. You're fucking dead. It is very rare that they have ever worked alongside the Eldar, which there's a lot of Space Marine chapters that have, but it's very rare. If you're a Dark Eldar, if you're a Drukhari specifically, you're fucking dead. That's just the way that it is. Tau, dead. You know, Orc, very dead, because they are very good at killing orcs. It's one of those things where it's given the wrong impression about the salamanders. Like, they are one of the most badass chapters in the fucking Imperium, and that's a big part of what makes them awesome. You know, isn't Gilliman married to an Eldar? That's an example of a meme that gives the wrong impression of the truth. Do you want to know what their conversation post-resurrection has been between Gilliman and Yvraine? They spoke once. They had one conversation. They've never spoken since. That's it. And by the way, again, that's a good criticism, but it is one of those things where yeah, the memes kind of go a little overboard. And there's some people that I would aim that at. I would aim that at Bricky. I would aim that at Pancreas No Work. But on the flip side, though, they will admit that they're more memeing than they are trying to be accurate. You know, Pancreas No Work flat out says all the time that he's just shitposting with a lot of the things that he says. But there's like kernels of truth in it. You know. Didn't GW release artwork of Gilliman and Yvraine having Thanksgiving 1 year together? I think they retweeted fan art of it. Because I don't think there's any official artwork that does that. But that's a meme. Like, what's another good one? The Ultramarines are all they all do their taxes. Funnily enough, the one war about taxes that involved the Imperium, the one war on taxes, the Ultramarines not fucking involved because it had nothing to do with Ultramar, so they didn't give a shit. So I think there were some Ultramarine successor chapters that were involved in that, though. Brain, correct me if I'm wrong. Weren't because the Omega Marines are expected, or they're thought to be a Ultramarine successor. They were involved. Let's look at the chapters real quick. Meta War chapters. I need to get my hands on Imperial armor and actually read through it. I want to do a full-on video on the Bad Ab War because it's the most fascinating, part of the lore to me. Okay, so Loyalist forces. Is there a list of chapters? There is. Okay, so this is from the wiki. Let's try to see if there's any. The Ultramarines are not involved. Carcharodons, Exorcists, Fire Angels, Fire Hawks, Howling Griffins. So there's a Ultramarine successor. Marines Errant. Who are these guys successors of? I don't remember. Oh, there were quite a few. So the Ultramarines were not involved. There's quite a few successors here. Marines Errant, Nova Marines. They're a successor chapter of them. Raptors are a successor chapter of the Raven Guard, and probably one of my favorites. Red Scorpions are suspected to effectively be the Black Templars of the Ultramarines, but they're not confirmed. One company of the Salamanders, second company, if I remember right, because I think Pelismir San was the captain that was involved in this. Funnily enough, worked with the Minotaurs, and the Minotaurs listened to the Salamanders, which I found really interesting. The Sons of Medusa, so these guys are Iron Hands successors, and the Star Phantoms, I don't remember where. Unknown. Okay. Then Successionists, the Astroclaws, the Executioners, the Lamenters, and the Mantis Warriors. The poor fucking, of the two that I feel the most bad for, the Executioners were actually brought to heel by the Salamanders. They actually surrendered to the Salamanders because, well, their Gene Father had such a respect for Vulcan that there's no one else that they probably would have surrendered to there. We all know what happened to the Astroclaws, but the Lamenters, God, they fucking ran into the fucking the Minotaurs, and then the Mantis Warriors ran into the Carcharodons. Oh my God, that oh no. Oh no. Do you know the Iron Hands have a successor chapter called the Star Dragons? From what I've heard, they're nice to humans. Yeah, the Star Dragons have more of a temperament that's in line with what with their Primarch than the actual rest of the Legion. So yeah, I like them. The Star Dragons also have this thing where they do scarification, but they inlay themselves with LEDs. It's kind of cool looking. So usual Lamenter's luck, pretty much. There's not a lot of chapters that I'm of the opinion if you put them up against the Minotaurs, they would win. It would just depend. The ones that would beat them, I am of the opinion they would beat them because they're smarter, not necessarily because they're better in combat. If they ran into the Ultramarines, I think the Ultramarines take that because the Ultramarines are going to play to their strengths. I don't think Calgar could take the chapter master of the Minotaurs in a fight. But I think he could be competitive enough to allow somebody else to get a killing blow on him. So yeah, I think the Minotaurs would probably lose to the Ultramarines. They'd probably lose to the Fists because the Fists would never be in a position to where they would be kind of at a loss. The Templars would beat them, but the Templars would lose a lot of their numbers. Because that's how they would win, is because there's more of them. Yeah. Like, there's ways to beat... The Minotaurs are beatable, but it's not easy. Heard a Lamentor story where they tried to free some slaves but got Murphy's Law, so the slaves decided to fight and die with them to be forever slaves. Yeah, the full story behind that one, this is why I love the Lamentors so much. So they freed millions of orc slaves, because for those who don't know, this is another thing of Flanderization, which admittedly, GW does kind of feed into, is the orcs. The orcs are not nice. They are fucking evil. They are evil brutes. They eat people. They torture people for fun. They suck. They're terrible. You never want to get caught prisoner by an orc, ever. Are the Minotaurs really the lapdogs of the High Lords? Yes, they are. They're absolutely. Luckily for Gilliman, he has a couple of the High Lords working, like, that are allies of his. So if he ever needed the Minotaurs, he could get them. But he would probably be remiss to do so if he doesn't need them. But anyway, the Lamentors. Fizz, get the Doomer shit out of my chat. The way that it goes is that they go out to effectively one of the orc like battle moons to try to free all these people. Tower assholes, but even they are better than humanity. No. No. You don't know about the Tau. That's another Flanderization. The Tau are not nice. Like the whole reason that the Farside Enclave exists is to get away from the Talva. Like they are not the Tau Empire proper. No, they're terrible, dude. They're just as bad as the Imperium. Are Tau-like communists? Yeah, that's the gimmick. In reality, their society is more it's caste based. But their whole thing about like the greater good, it sounds very communist. That's why I call them like commie fish people. Yeah, the Tau just have better PR. They living as part of under the Tau is like living in 1984. They're very Orwellian. The thing about the Imperium, Imperial citizens know what it is. They know exactly what it is. They know exactly what their life is. They know what's going on. But they have their legends and they have their faith and they have and that's fine. You know? And depending on The world you live on, you either have a fucking terrible life or you have an okay life. Unless you're in one of these areas where you're like one of the highfalutin nobles, then you have a pretty good life. And it just depends on what world you live on. If you're in a paradise world, you're probably fine. If you're on an agri world, you're going to be working pretty hard, but it's not terrible. Hive City, bad fucking day. You don't want to be in Hive City. That's the big thing. Hive Cities suck. The Tau, but the Imperium will do everything that they can to keep you under the heat, under heel, and you know there is no such thing as innocence. You know, you've got the Inquisition running around, and then some Space Marine chapters are absolute psychopaths, and others are not. But it's effectively it's an honest griminess in a sense. You know exactly what you're getting. And yeah, and then there's a death world because somebody just brought up Catachan. Don't Hive Cities only make up like 25% of Imperial worlds? Yeah, they're not that common on an Imperial world. Some Imperial worlds, if they're controlled by Space Marines, will have completely normal planets, like Rin's world. New Rin City is not that big. I think it only had like maybe a couple million people in it. That's smaller than Chicago. There were less people on Rin's world, which is the home world of the Imperial of the Crimson Fists. There's less people on Rin's world than I think live in the United States. I could be wrong on that, but it's not a big population. It's a pretty small planet. But New Rin City was not that big. Like it was held by just like less than 150 Crimson Fists held that city with the guard. And it wasn't even the guard proper. It was just the planetary guard. Not even the best of the best. You know? It's not like they were backed up by like Cadians or something. Or Kriegers or fucking the Tempestus Scions. Or the Lucifer Blacks. But the Tau... Yeah, it's basically 1984. That's the kind of world you're living in. It's very, very restrictive. It's very, very... Your life is basically approved by the Ethereals. And you don't realize it, but you are their slave. They say they look at you equally. They say you can worship whatever you want. At the end of the day, if you're not serving the greater good, they will kill you. They're basically lying to you about it. I fucking hate the Tau. There are no good factions within it. There's sub factions that are better. The Salamanders, for example, are a sub faction of the Adeptus Astartes. They are some of the best of the best. The Raven Guard are another good example of that. The Blood Ravens are a good example of that. Which their temperament, the more I play Dawn of War, the more I think these guys are Sons of Magnus. They have to be. Just the fact that the Tau have a character named Commander Shadowsun still kills me. I fucking hate Shadowsun. Maybe it's because I'm a Raven Guard guy, but just fuck her. She was so fucking stupid. Fucking hate that character. She's a Mary Sue. I can't stand her. But yeah, the Tau suck, but Farsight is a good dude. Like, Farsight fought Chaos and had to like go on a spiritual journey to figure his fucking life out. You know, the Ultramarines are, they make very hard choices sometimes, but if they show up, they're gonna try to do the right thing. You know, that's Gilliman's attitude. You know, the Blood Angels are like that. The Lamenters take it even further. Back to the Lamenters story. Basically, they show up on this orc world to try to free all these slaves, and they free millions of them. Keep in mind, like, the Lamenters they're only just now at full strength. They haven't been at full strength in a long time. And they weren't here. There was only like a couple hundred of them. But a couple hundred of them went onto a fucking war moon of the fucking, I think it was like the Bad Bones. And I might be wrong on that. But they freed millions of slaves. Had no way to get them out of there. They can only take maybe a few 100,000. So basically what happens is the tech marines they have left hop onto orc ships. They kill all the orcs on the orc ships. They're like, can we figure out a way to get these fucking things moving? And they just couldn't do it because orc anything works on bullshit. So the slaves just said, look, you gave us the opportunity to be free. We understand what you got to do at this point to stop these orcs from doing this again to anybody else. Give us the opportunity to fight them and go down swinging and go down free men. And so that's what they did. Hundreds of thousands of people millions of people were freed from slavery at the hands of the orcs. Hundreds of thousands got to live to tell the tale. And they were advised against doing it by Marneus Calgar, because Calgar, a lot of respect for the Lamenters with this guy. It's part of the reason I like Calgar as much as I do. He's a great chapter master. He advised against it. He didn't think there was a way they could pull it off. They did anyway. He wanted to give... what is the name of the Lamenters chapter master? Malachim Foros. He wanted to give Malachim Foros an iron halo to kind of like commemorate what he did. And Foros said, I can't take this. He's like, yeah, I saved a lot of people, but so many more died. I can't look at this mission and see it as a success. And that tells you fucking everything you need to know about the Lamenters. On a military perspective, because that's how Calgar's looking at it. Calgar looks at this as a military perspective. He sees the reality that, like, us in the audience see, right? There's no fucking way you're getting them out of there. You don't have the numbers. And admittedly, kind of bullshit Calgar didn't come and back him up, but that's just my 2 cents. But to say you made chicken salad out of chicken shit is an understatement from a military perspective. Holy shit. Did you pull it off? Hundreds of thousands of people. Like, yeah, a lot of people died. But they died free men. And on top of that, hundreds of thousands of people that used to be slaves to the orcs are now going to go live full lives. From a military perspective, what they did wasn't just a W, it was a fucking miracle that they even pulled it off. And Malachim Foros was like, I'm sorry, I can't accept this as a win. I can't. Because I could have got them all out of there. They were completely convinced they could have done it. And they were still grieving for all those people that died. And Calgar understood. Calgar was not insulted by it. A lot of the other Ultramarines were. So, some of the Ultramarines are not fans of the Lamenters. But it's just one of those things where it does tell you so much about them as a chapter. Because they very much value life. Just like Sanguinius did. You know, in my opinion, they are one of the truest sons of Sanguinius. More so than like the fucking flesh eaters and the flesh terrors and bleh. You know. But yeah, that's the Lamenters for you. That's why I love them. Yeah, 40k is dark, no argument, but that's why the heroes shine that much brighter. Exactly. Exactly. Goodness gracious. But yeah, there's that. There's the reason why the months of shame happened. Basically fucking the chapter master of the Space Wolves just teleports onto the flagship of the Grey Knights. Says, which one of you assholes just opened fire on a bunch of civilians? Who gave the order? The current chapter master, the Grand Master of the Grey Knights, goes, I did. What are you gonna bleh? And the reason he goes, what are you gonna bleh? Is because he just got cut in half. Because you don't do that when they're under the protection of the Space Wolves. They will kill you. They will defend people. Because what they needed to be during the 30th millennium was they needed to be executioners. What they understood afterwards, what the Imperium needed, was guardians. And they've been that ever since. 40k Space Wolves are way better than 30k. You read Horus Heresy stuff, the Space Wolves are kind of dicks. They are a bunch of walking bricks. Nowadays, not so much. The culture of Fenris is very different. Oh my gosh. Alright, guys. I think it's time to bring it into this. Oh, what I was just going to say is, I don't have a grass is greener thing with 40k, man. I've been a fan of 40k for a while. It is, in my opinion, an empirical fact that the media coming out of 40k right now it's just better than what Gundam is doing. Their tabletop game is more fun. Don't give a fuck about card games. The one area where with Gunpla is that if you compare a Gundam to like a master grade, it's like $50-$60 to like a repulsor executioner. You get a lot more plastic in these boxes back here than you are from Games Workshop. That I understand. No argument there. But the stories, which is, I mean, I'm a lore tuber and I'm a reviewer, that's where my focus is. That to me matters a lot more. So. Alright, guys. This bald fat ass is going to bed. I'm going to get some sleep. I've been up since like 4 in the morning. So, and I don't want to like test it and try to and do something stupid. I want to make sure that I'm taking much better care of my health than I have been. So I'm going to get some sleep. Next week, back to business as usual. And we might do a spooky night stream on next Thursday. So I appreciate all you guys coming by, hanging out, being very liberal with your super chats, to say the least. Holy shit. But I appreciate all of you guys for coming by, hanging out. Have yourselves a good one. I will see you all next time. Also, no Doomer. Jesus, fuck.